Okay, I've tried to get this where you guys can see this the best here. It's kind of an awkward angle. So I'm going to go on and start filling the wash tub up. I'm going to be doing cold water, dark colors. So should be able to get pretty far on the water. I can reuse the water for a pretty long time on the twin tubs, which is one of the reasons I like them. They do save water in that nature. So I'm going to go on and get started here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our water spigot and we're going to put it over in the tub. It pulls up and over for the models that have it. And we're going to take our power drain knob here. We're just going to make sure that's on wash, which it was on drain from a previous. And we're going to take our timer, make sure it's on off. Once that's all set, we just reach over to the sink, which is slightly out of camera view, and turn on the cold water. This doesn't take very long to fill up on this sink, which is kind of nice. It has a lot of water pressure. No other water spigot in the house has pressure but this. It makes doing rinses really nice when you have the water pressure. Otherwise, it takes forever to fill that spin can up. So we just wait for it to fill up here. I'd also like to point out while this is filling up, some models of the Hoovers don't have the water spigot. They actually do make a base model called the T1000 and the T1001, and they're actually, there's nothing here where you see this water spigot. I've never actually been lucky enough to run across one. It'd kind of be nice to have one for the collection. But I really do like the water spigot. Now I have two of these colored polypropylene tub Hoovers. This is a 519, and the other one is a T1003. Now I don't know what the difference is between them as far as maybe some marketing numbers, because they're the same machine. The only difference is the 519 has the automatic rinse that you see here, and it has, if you look at the color rim on the spin basket, it's a matching color. But that's the only difference that I've been able to find. Aside from the automatic rinse, the internals are exactly the same. Same colors, same everything. I had two T1003s. One's been converted into a parts machine, and the other one's an almost mint working unit. And this is the only one I've ever seen in Harvest Gold in person. And I got to be honest, I really like the Harvest Gold. It's with the lighter yellow on top, it actually makes a pretty nice looking machine. So this is almost full. There's a little water notch right here. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera. So we're going to fill it up to that notch. Turn the water off. We're going to turn the water spigot back around and push down on it. We'll put that back in the rinse position. The first thing I like to do is go on and add the detergent, which isn't much on these machines. They are suds factories when it comes to suds. And what I usually do is take the timer and put it on delicates. Just gives the soap enough time to dissolve, especially in the cold water. If you don't let the soap get good and dissolved, you get little white specks on the clothes in the spray rinse. And I don't know how well you guys can hear the motor running on this machine. It's a little noisy, although it does still seem to put out plenty of power. The spin rinsing is nice, but if you have any kind of, it's not very good for removing lint particles, or if you have like soap residue from a cold water wash. I use Gain powder, which dissolves really well in both of the Hoovers, and I like the smell. I've also got another YouTube video of the much older Hoover 510 series from the early 60s doing a full cycle. And if you get a chance to watch that, I'd really recommend it, because this wash action is nothing compared to that. It's an all stainless steel model, and I don't know what they appear to have the same motors, but they're completely different beasts in terms of water. You can't operate the 510 without a lid on it. It will just throw water everywhere, as you'll see in that video. So it looks like our soap is dissolved really well here. So what we're going to do, we're going to go on and start putting some clothes in. Now people have different ways of doing this. Some people like to put their clothes in and then start it. Some people like to start it and then feed the clothes in. I like to start it and then feed the clothes in. If nothing else, it's just more dramatic to watch that way. Let's face it, that's half the fun of owning one of these, is to watch it actually work. Now, I'm doing darks here, so I just need to sort these out in separate little wash piles. The one downside to the little Hoovers is they don't really take in a whole lot at once. You have to kind of judge it. You have to feed it in slowly. So let's go on and we'll put this on heavy soil. And we'll just kind of toss things in. A little bit of everything in this load. And it really will just kind of suck it right down. And once it gets a rhythm, it starts taking all the clothes and get them saturated with water. It'll develop a rhythm, and it actually works pretty well. I think I'm also going to post a YouTube video without any narration at all of just a quick cycle, a whole cycle from fill up to drain. But I kind of wanted to vary a little bit with this one. I wanted to kind of talk about, how it works, because a lot of people have never seen one of these machines before, and they're really neat. I mean, they're really a neat machine to watch. They're fun to watch. They're fun to own too. They're just getting very rare. Now the English crowd, the European crowd, a lot of them are very familiar with these machines because they were much more prevalent in Europe when they were manufactured than they ever were here in the U.S. In the U.S. they were more of a niche market machine for apartments that had no plumbing hookups at all. You don't see very many of them around anymore. For the U.S. market, they quit making these in probably the early 80s. I think 84 or 85, I think, was the last year that they made these in the U.S. So parts are hard to find. Luckily, a lot of these machines share parts with the British versions, which is very handy when it comes to getting parts. The only thing that's really different as far as replaceable parts go are the water pumps. These machines use a pinch valve system, which is very different than what the British versions use. The British versions use a siphon suck valve. It's a round valve. It has 3 outlets on it total, whereas this one only has 2. It's a completely different setup, and only the original Hoovers sold in the U.S. use that style pump. So when the pumps go out, about the only thing that you can actually obtain is the base piece, which contains the bearing, which is it's the most important piece of the pump. But if anything happens to that housing, you're in trouble. It usually takes, regular is about a 4-minute wash. Heavy soil and regular, it doesn't really take long to do a load in these machines. As you can see here, I mean, it's pretty vigorous. It works, it doesn't take long at all. In fact, if you run your clothes through this for too long, you can, if you have things that bleed colors a lot, they'll actually pull the color out. And I've had that happen. I have a really hard time washing red articles in the Hoovers because the wash action's so vigorous with only a few garments in there that it'll actually bleed the color out of the reds. I have a full size, well, not a full size. I have an automatic washer and dryer in the basement, the 81 Lady Kenmore set, and I find myself using these more than I do the Kenmores. The Kenmore's certainly nice. You just drop it in and that's it. But, this is more fun, more interactive. I like interactive.